The air in the grand hall of the Jacques starship was thick with tension. Princess Lira'vel of the Vey'lath Dominion stood at the center of the room, her iridescent scales shimmering faintly under the soft glow of the bioluminescent lights. Her four arms were clasped gracefully behind her back, and her long, serpentine tail flicked ever so slightly, a telltale sign of her unease. She had been trained since birth to maintain composure in the face of adversity, but today was different. Today, she was about to meet a human. Humans. The word alone sent a shiver down her spine. They were a species that had burst onto the galactic stage barely a century ago, and yet they had already earned a reputation for being unpredictable, resourceful, and, most of all, dangerous. They were not the strongest, nor the most technologically advanced, but there was something about them, something primal and unyielding, that made even the most seasoned diplomats wary. And now, one of them was standing in her starship. The doors to the grand hall hissed open, and Lira'vel's heart skipped a beat. Two of her royal guards escorted the human inside, their taloned hands resting on the hilts of their plasma blades. The human, however, seemed utterly unfazed. He walked with a confident stride, his posture relaxed but alert. He was clad in a standard-issue human military uniform, its dark fabric contrasting sharply with the vibrant colors of the Vey'lath decor. His name, she recalled, was Captain Elias Grant. Lira'vel took a moment to study him. Humans were so strange. Their bodies were soft and fleshy, lacking the natural armor of her own species. Their faces were expressive, with eyes that seemed to pierce through her very soul. And their scent, sharp and metallic, like the air before a storm, was unlike anything she had ever encountered. "Princess Lira'vel," Captain Grant said, his voice deep and steady. He inclined his head in a gesture of respect, though his eyes never left hers. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." Lira'vel forced herself to remain calm. She had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that it was here, she found herself struggling to find the right words. "Captain Grant," she began, her voice melodic but firm. "Your presence here is unexpected. The Vey'lath Dominion does not often entertain visitors from Earth." Grant's lips twitched into a faint smile. "I'm aware, but given the circumstances, I thought it was important to speak with you directly." "The circumstances?" Lira'vel's tail flicked again. The galaxy was on the brink of war. The Vey'lath Dominion and the human-led Terran Alliance had been at odds for months, their fleets poised to clash over a disputed star system. The stakes were high, and the tension between their species had never been greater. "And what, exactly, do you hope to achieve by coming here?" Lira'vel asked, her tone carefully neutral. Grant took a step forward, and Lira'vel's guards immediately tensed, their hands tightening on their weapons. He raised his hands in a placating gesture. "I'm not here to threaten you, Princess. I'm here to propose an alliance." "An alliance?" Lira'vel's mind raced. This was unprecedented. The Vey'lath Dominion had always prided itself on its independence, its ability to stand apart from the other galactic powers, to align themselves with humans, a species they barely understood, was unthinkable. And yet, "You must understand how unusual this request is," Lira'vel said carefully. "Our species have had little contact, and what contact we have had has not always been amicable." Grant nodded. "I won't deny that, but the situation has changed. The Kral'thax Empire is on the move, and if we don't work together, they'll tear through both of us like paper." Lira'vel's breath caught in her throat. The Kral'thax Empire was a scourge, a ruthless and expansionist power that had already consumed dozens of star systems. If they were truly on the move, then the galaxy was in grave danger. "You expect me to believe that humans of all species are willing to set aside their differences and fight alongside us?" she asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. Grant's expression hardened. Princess, I've seen what the Kral'thax can do. I've watched them burn worlds, slaughter entire populations. I don't care about politics or pride. I care about survival. And right now, survival means working together. Lira'vel studied him carefully. There was a fire in his eyes, a determination that she couldn't help but admire. Humans were strange, yes, but they were also compelling. And if I refuse? She asked, testing him. Grant's jaw tightened. Then we'll fight the Kral'thax alone. But I don't think you want that. I don't think you want to see your people suffer because of pride. Lira'vel's tail stilled. He was right, of course. She couldn't let her personal feelings or her species' prejudices stand in the way of what was best for her people. But agreeing to an alliance with humans was a monumental decision, one that could have far-reaching consequences. I will need time to consider your proposal, she said at last. Grant nodded. I understand, but time is a luxury we don't have. The Kral'thax are already on the move, and every second we waste brings them closer to our doorstep. Lira'vel's mind raced. She needed to stay calm, to think clearly, but the weight of the decision was almost overwhelming. Captain Grant, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. I will convene with my advisors and give you an answer by tomorrow. Until then, you are welcome to remain aboard this ship as our guest. Grant inclined his head again. Thank you, Princess. I appreciate your consideration. As he turned to leave, Lira'vel couldn't help but feel a pang of something. Respect? Admiration? She wasn't sure. But one thing was clear. Captain Elias Grant was unlike anyone she had ever met. The next day, Lira'vel stood on the observation deck of the HFY, staring out at the stars. Her advisors had been divided, their arguments heated and impassioned. But in the end, the decision had been hers alone. Grant joined her, his presence both comforting and unnerving. Have you made your decision? He asked, his voice soft but firm. Lira'vel turned to face him, her scales shimmering in the starlight. I have, she said. The Vey'lath Dominion will stand with the Terran Alliance. But know this, Captain Grant. This is not a decision I make lightly. If you betray us, if you prove unworthy of our trust, the consequences will be severe. Grant met her gaze without flinching. I wouldn't expect anything less. For a moment, they simply stood there, two beings from vastly different worlds, united by a common cause. And in that moment, Lira'vel felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Epilogue. The alliance between the Vey'lath Dominion and the Terran Alliance would go down in history as one of the most unlikely and most successful partnerships the galaxy had ever seen. Together, they repelled the Kral'thax Empire, their combined forces proving more than a match for the invaders. As for Lira'vel and Grant, their relationship evolved into one of mutual respect and understanding. Though their species remained different in countless ways, they found common ground in their shared commitment to protecting their people. And in the end, that was all that mattered.